Alright, we're talking to Brad Plank of Galveston, Indiana at the Red Gold Field Day in northern Indiana. Brad, why don't you tell us a little bit about what brings you here today?
Well, we are a local tomato grower from Galveston. We put out around 180 to 200 acres of tomatoes each and every year for Red Gold. We also have around 450 acres of corn and around 500 acres of beans for a total of around 1,200 acres that we farm all together.
Well, good luck getting
And
a gigantic crop on.
how long has your family been growing tomatoes?
Well, my grandpa's father started growing tomatoes. He had about 30 to 40 acres that he put out. It was some ground that he didn't know what to do with at the time, and a local neighbor told him, hey, why don't you put in tomatoes, I'll do 50-50 with you. And it turned out to be about a 42 ton crop. It was the best crop that his neighbors ever had, and so we started from there, and we've been raising tomatoes ever since for other local factories until just here recently that Red Gold is the surviving entity that in tomatoes, and we've been contracting for them ever since.
And talk a little bit about what it's like to raise tomatoes for Red Gold.
Well, raising tomatoes is a difficult crop. It's a baby crop that we consider that you have to nurture throughout the entire year. They're a lot more acceptable to bacteria and fungus that we have to spray every 7 days for. And so it's a little more challenging because you have more hired help in the fall and in the spring, and it's more weather problematic than what the corn and beans are. Of course, this year the tomatoes aren't doing as bad for the dry weather, but in the fall it's pretty tedious. In the fall you work 7 days a week, and depending on your tonnage you might work all day or you might put in just a half a day, and you have to get the loads to the factory in a specified time period. You have to have it there no later than 8 o'clock the next morning, so you have all night to haul the loads in. But overall it is a very good crop to raise. It's a good family oriented. Red Gold likes to keep it good and family oriented, so everybody is kind of close knitted, everybody shares the same problems, and it's not really a competition in between the growers because it's all the same price and everything. It just everybody has different acres, and it all depends on your total acres that you can farm.
So you feel like it's a pretty versatile crop for somebody who might be growing larger acres of corn and soybeans. You think they could add tomatoes into their operation pretty realistically?
Easily, yes. And also it all depends on the acres you have. You're supposed to rotate every 3 years and go back in on the 4th year to put tomatoes. And so the larger crop entity growers can use this, but also it's a good extra money maker for a smaller farm to help them. Say they have a son or something coming back to the operation, it's a good way to make a little bit extra money, so they don't have to go out and find more acres. They just find a crop that produces a little more revenue per acre, and it's a good way to help bring somebody back in the operation or just grow your operation just a little bit more.
So you talk about growing the operation or maintaining family operation. Do you have any brothers or sisters, or are you an only child? Or
I have 2 brothers and a sister, and I'm the only one that wants to go out in the hot sun and work all day.
well, I guess that counts. This time of year you're probably thinking about rounding things up and finishing out the season. What does that entail for tomatoes? What do you need to be thinking about as you get to the end of harvest?
Well, need to be thinking about the bottom line, when we need to stop spraying, and finding help. That's the biggest problem, is finding help to come out and work for us, because you have the state of Indiana has new immigration laws and things in place, which is kind of scared and kind of run off some of the help that we've had, and it just makes it harder to find help anymore. But that's one of the main concerns we have going into fall, is finding enough help for people to do the harvest anyways.
Absolutely. Well, Brad, thank you so much for talking to us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.